here's the map of South America, and let's just go right into it and start with the countries. Up here, I have Colombia and Venezuela, and these are just the first two top ones on this continent. So say CV, like your CV or curricula vitae or whatever, it's your resume, CV. And then also Colombia, Colombia is two O's and an O, and it's kind of shaped sort of, it's circular as a country can be shaped. Next we have Ecuador, Equator, and it's easy to find. Like Equator, you have the Galapagos Islands over here. This line is the equator, so we have Ecuador on the equator. Then Peru. I always remember Peru. This is maybe silly. I think of the Incas, because you have the Aztecs, the Mayas, the Incas. The Incas, Native Americans of South America. They were known for their long roadways. So think about, this is kind of a long skinny country, so like think of long skinny roadways that they built. So the Incas, Peru, and in Peru, Peruvian, I don't know, that's just how I remember it. Next we got Bolivia, and kind of like Cambodia, Bolivia, it's kind of yellow and circular in the middle. O, Bolivia, right here, that's how I remember that. Chile, right here, the country of Chile, I think of chili. It looks kind of like a red chili pepper. It's long, skinny, and red, so a chili pepper, chili, or Chile. And then Paraguay, we have Paraguay and Uruguay. And of course, you'll have your list so you can see those and read them and have them to reference. You would think of them in a pair because they're kind of almost side by side. Paraguay has a perimeter around it. It's a landlocked country, so Paraguay perimeter. But Uruguay is the other one. It doesn't have that perimeter around it. So that's how I do Paraguay and Uruguay. Argentina, I just remember it, honestly. Argentina is just this one. Maybe you want to think of like PAC, like pack, like you're going to pack, JPAC or whatever. PAC, pack will help you. So Paraguay, Argentina, Chile, you could do it that way. This one is Brazil, and think of Brazil and the Amazon. Like Brazil is a giant country. Brazil seems, it's just covering a lot of South America, and it's kind of set apart. And think about it, it's kind of set apart just because they speak a different language. They speak Portuguese, while a lot of these other countries have Spanish as at least one of their primary languages. So we got Brazil right here. And also you got the Amazon rainforest, of course. So up here toward the top, you have Guiana, Suriname, and French Guiana. And I think about it like a sandwich between Guiana and French Guiana. French Guiana is going to be last, going from left to right, is a longer name. And Suriname is the one with a different name, and it kind of has a Suriname's name, different name. So think about it like that, like it's kind of a sandwich between Guyana, Suriname, and French Guiana. I got that. So those are the countries. Of course, you got the Pacific Ocean. If you look at the map, you can see the ones that are like, where is California and peaceful side, Hawaii, Pacific Ocean, right over here, peaceful. Also got these little Galapagos Islands up here. Atlantic Ocean, if you can reference it off the US map, you can see Atlantic Ocean is over here on this side. And so you can also just be like PA or something. So just the oceans, there's not very many of them, so just memorize those. Up here we got the Caribbean Sea. Think about the Pirates of the Caribbean, or the Caribbean, however you want to say. So if you have a map that's bigger and where you have the US on it, or Central America, you can kind of see it extending up here to be the Caribbean Sea. Now it's bordered by islands that kind of set it apart. So now we can move on to the cities. Lima, Peru, right here. It looks kind of like two stair steps sort of right there. So I find right where this little jet of land is, and it kind of creates this little scoop right there. And at the top of the scoop is Lima. Think of Lima, Peru. And think of this like a giant lima bean. So Lima, lima bean, Lima, Peru, right there. So Bogota is in Colombia. They both have two O's. So Bogota, Colombia, Bogota, something like that. So two O's. What I do is I look, there's this river right here that kind of forms a loop. Maybe I can zoom into that. There we go. And you have these two rivers. So you have two rivers right here, and then these two sides of this loop of river here. So you got two, and then two, and then two O's, two O's. It's just a lot of twos in this country. So you go to this top river, and right at the end of it, you just go straight over from it to where you're almost touching this loop. So the top river, straight over till you're almost touching the loop. That's Bogota. Then Caracas, or Caracas, I don't know, Caracas, Venezuela, is, I think of like a carcass. That's why I kind of said it like that, because it makes me think of carcass. Think of a carcass died, like a carcass died and went to heaven. So it's at the very top of the, like it rose to heaven. It's at the very top of the continent. So Caracas, Venezuela. And it just sees this triple step here. It's like this is the land here, it steps down to this land, then it steps down again. So the middle step is Caracas, and it's right in the middle of that middle step. That's where you put it. And then, so we got Lima, Bogota, and Caracas. You go down and you see Brazil, and you kind of define these three cities in Brazil. Think of Brasilia. It's going to be a major city, Brasilia. So think of this, let me zoom out to kind of explain this. Okay. You have this whole section of rivers kind of separated from this river, and then in turn kind of separated from these rivers. So it's kind of like it creates three sections of rivers. So right where they all converge, where this side converges with all this, where this converges with all this, you have this little space right here. So right in the middle of it is Brasilia, and you can also find this river, and it kind of points down to it. So between this point of the river and this kind of bump in the river, so they kind of point toward each other, and then this, so you could draw a line sort of from here to here, and then draw a line from the tip of this river down, and then where it touches that line, that's where we got Brasilia. Then, to find Rio de Janeiro, you go down to the coast, so you have Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro. So the land kind of juts down and creates sort of a point inward, like a triangle. Right where it points in, that's where you got Rio de Janeiro. Then you go further down, and right where the land stops being bumpy and starts smoothing out, that's where you put Sao Paulo. And you could think of BRS, like think of like be right back, so you know it's B and R first, and then S. So instead of BRB, it's BRS. So be right, okay, then Sao Paulo. So BRS. And if I zoom in a little bit, you can kind of see that. See, this land is kind of smooth. This is bumpy. So on either side of it, of the bumpy land, that's where you got Rio de Janeiro and Sao Paulo and Brasilia, where all the rivers kind of converge, and there's this big space right there. Lastly, you have two more cities, is Santiago and Buenos Aires. So think about this land is pointing to Buenos Aires. Think about like an airport. It's pointing to the airport. So Buenos Aires, airport. So you could put it there, or you could put it there. I mean, it'd be close enough. So Buenos Aires is over there. Then Santiago. I just go Santiago, Chile. I just say it over and over. But look where the land is almost touching. The skinniest point is just south of that on this side. So on the eastern side. So you go right where it's skinniest and where the land is moving toward each other. Right down south of that is Santiago. And for a river, you have to know the Amazon River. So of course, you see this crazy network of rivers, and you just write this main one right here. You put the Amazon River. You can write it along the river or whatever. So that is the map of South America.